Let's talk mood tracker and let's talk the LSU Tiger fan base, because I think this has radically shifted just in the past week. And you may look, if you were paying attention in the preseason, if you were immersed in preview magazine culture and you heard the supreme confidence from down in Tigerland and it was on full display, you may think to yourself, if you're just a casual college football fan, you may say, how can they be going from confident to radically shifting on anything after just 4 quarters of football? Well, it's about being scorned. That's what it's about. That is the mood, by the way, of LSU Tiger Nation at the moment. It is scorned. And if you want to know how it can change that rapidly, all you have to do is watch any cheating movie or listening to any cheating song in the very town that we reside in would probably do the trick for you too. Because you've seen the movies before. The movie where there's probably some infidelity, but then there's a makeup. And the couple chooses to move past it. So you've hurt me, but we have reconciled. You have promised me that you have seen the error of your ways and you're a changed person. And so we're going to move on together hand in hand. And there's still a hole there in my heart, but we're going to try and fill it and we're going to try and bridge it and we're going to try and move on. You see, there's a lot of goodwill in that formula and there's a lot of mutual trust and there's a lot of working together that has to happen. But if one side can meet the other side in the middle, then we can move forward. But what happens when all of a sudden your guy comes home, 3 weeks later, random Tuesday night, and you smell an odd perfume on the shirt collar? Well, how radically would things change? Because that's kind of what happened with LSU and Ed Orgeron. Last year sucked. It was just bad. And it all but erased the memory of 2019. Now, in reality, that doesn't happen. You'll always have 2019. But as it relates to Ed Orgeron, people quickly forgot about 2019 when they thought about Ed Orgeron. And last year was a disaster, but understandably so, there were a lot of people in that fan base that were willing to, because of how magic 2019 was and how unwinnable and untenable in many ways 2020 was, they were willing to dismiss it. No one wants to talk about it anymore as long as you rectify the situation. There's a hole in our heart from 2020, but it's okay as long as you can rectify the situation, as long as you made proper hires, which you told me you have, as long as you have a proper plan in place, which you've told me you have, as long as we've got the good enough roster, which signing day and recruiting rankings and services, and you have told me we have, then we're moving forward, right? Okay, but what happens when it all goes up in smoke? Then all of a sudden you have a radical shift in mood. That's what's happening at LSU right now. You got to understand something. This is a proud fan base. They are fiercely loyal. They are passionate almost to a fault. And if you're selling them something that they believe in, they'll fight for you. Even if you lose a game, they will fight for you as long as you're selling them something that coincides with what they believe LSU football is supposed to be about. It's not about winning every game. They want to. They expect to. But it's not about winning every game and as soon as we drop one, we turn on you. That's not it. As long as you are embodying something that LSU is supposed to be, they're going to fight for you. But I'm going to tell you what they're not going to tolerate at all. And they're done tolerating it right now. They're not going to tolerate you telling them you fixed all the cracks in the dam, and then you show up week 1 and you find out all you did was slap duct tape on the dam. And the minute UCLA applied an ounce of water pressure, here come the leaks. And then here comes the drip, drip, drip burst, and then all of a sudden we get embarrassed on the West Coast. They're not going to handle you getting out physicaled, out coached, out adjusted. They're not going to handle looking like we're getting out athleted against a team we know good and well is full of guys that couldn't have gotten an LSU offer, because that's what happened last week. They're not going to tolerate that. And I'll tell you what else they're not going to tolerate. They're not going to tolerate never having their team on the field, either on Saturday or in practice, because half of them are in the training room. I know you can't assign specific blame injury to injury, but when you have a chronic problem, it is a strength and conditioning issue. It is something that has to be overhauled. So there's top-down problems there right now, and I haven't even mentioned anything off the field. I haven't mentioned any board of trustee members that have had bridges burned with Ed Orgeron. I haven't mentioned how, maybe the university's tried to help him out a little bit and he's turned a cold shoulder to it. There's an attitude that you can have when you're a winner, and there's an attitude you can have, and there's an amount of baggage that will be tolerated when you're producing. When you're not producing, you can't do the stuff Ed Orgeron does right now, and you can't run the kind of program he's running right now. So there's an interesting month ahead with LSU, because I am telling you rapidly has the support evaporated there. Rapidly. I know a bunch of LSU folks. I reached out to several of them today to kind of bounce my feeling off of them. They wanted me to go harder than this. They just want to outright torch and pitchfork that whole place right now. You know my thoughts on hot seat talk. I don't really do it. But I will tell you, they got McNeese this Saturday. They've got Central Michigan. You're looking at the roster if you're watching on YouTube or you're looking at the schedule. And then I want you to think about this stretch. If you're listening on the podcast, just close your eyes unless you're driving. And I want you to picture what you think LSU football is right now. Chronic problems on the line of scrimmage, totally undisciplined, can't stay healthy, don't have enough consistent and dependable speed on the field at receiver, which I didn't think I was going to be saying. Cannot trust the tailbacks. One of them's not even academically eligible right now. And so there's a whole bunch of question marks about the team. And you tell me how you think the stretch of at Mississippi State, Auburn, at Kentucky, Florida, at Ole Miss, at Bama, Arkansas, UL Monroe, and Texas A&M is going to turn out. If you are of the opinion that Ed Orgeron is not the right guy for this job, that stretch will take care of it for you. I am of the opinion that that stretch is going to force a move in Baton Rouge. That is my current opinion. And yeah, I know we're one game into the season, but that wasn't a case last week of UCLA just precision-style out-executing LSU. They lined up, and if we were to have taken the jerseys off of them and we would have just put generic garbage bags on both of them, you could not have picked the SEC team out. Or if you did, you would have been wrong. You would have picked the team that ended up wearing the sissy blue. That's what you would have picked as the SEC team. LSU folks aren't going to tolerate that. LSU folks shouldn't tolerate that. Do you know what kind of investment there is down there, both emotionally and financially? Do you know? If you haven't ever been there, I can tell you, it's immense. It's immeasurable in many ways. It's incredible, but also if you're the leader inside that kind of culture, they expect a return because they look at you and they're dead right when they say it, and they say, what do you need that we haven't given you? Over and above what you need, actually. What do you need to win that you don't have in abundance? Ed Orgeron cannot answer that question right now. He's got everything he needs in abundance, well above and beyond what 98% of the sport has. You can't get pushed around by UCLA. That can't ever happen. They tolerated 12 months of incompetence over there because they thought there were external factors that could be used as an excuse last year. They are not tolerating 24 months in a row of it. I don't think they are.